clubs. So we'll start with that. Yes, Newton, PD, PE.
Thank you,
Over to you, sir.
Thank you, President Junior. Good evening, everyone. Great for us to be meeting here again for another week. Well, as you all can hear, this week we are going to be talking sports. Some of us are good at doing the sports thing. Some of us are good at talking it. Some of us can only listen. I'm a listener, but I do have our two guest speakers tonight, and they are two of the really respected persons. When they talk, they know what they're talking about. And so let me join with President Junior in welcoming both of you gentlemen to our club. Looking forward to hearing a lot of stuff tonight. Let me start now with clubs. Are there any clubs outside of Jamaica that's with us this evening? Any club outside of Jamaica? All right, they haven't gotten here yet. So how about any club in Division 25? Any member of any club in Division 25 with us this evening? No? All right, what about Division 24? Any member of any club in Division 24 with us this evening? No? All right, I know we have a lot of... Oh, go ahead.
Yes. Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. This is Kiwani and Crystal from the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay, Vice Chair for Interclubbing. So currently we have 2 persons so far online. We are expecting others. Myself and Director David, and I'm scrolling down to see if I see anyone else. So myself and Director David, we're here to be entertained by your meeting. Thank you.
Okay, Crystal, and it's great to have you and Director David here. And I am absolutely sure I've heard these two gentlemen speak sports before, and they know what they're talking about, so they can break it down. You will enjoy it. Thanks for being with us.
Lovely. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from Division 24? No? Okay, what about Division 23 East? Anyone from Division 23 East? No? All right, how about 23 West? Anyone from any club in Division 23 West with us this evening? All right. Well, let's move on then to Division 23 Central. Anyone from Division 23 Central? Well, I see several persons.
Hi, PD Newton. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hey, I am great. Getting ready to listen to some sports.
Oh, yes, me too. So let me be quick. So now we have LGD Desmond, as you know, and Treasurer Melvin and myself. So we have a delegation of 3 members visiting with you this evening. Oh, and there is DLG Keys.
Is there?
4, yes, 4 members. Thank you so much, LGD. So at least we have at least 4 members. So we have a growing delegation. Thank you so much for the invite, and we're just gonna sit back, relax, and listen to these gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you and your delegation for joining us. I can absolutely guarantee you with these 2 gentlemen on, you'll soon see your members popping up online.
Okay.
Anyone else from Division 23 West? Sorry, I was at Division 23 Central.
Good evening, Press.
Hey, well, Press is listening to you, but I am also listening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Omar Falaki from Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew.
Yes.
I think I'm alone at the moment. And so members will join me soon. Waiting in anticipation for the discussion that's coming. Two gentlemen are very good sports analysts. So I'm waiting to listen.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Well, two things. I know that there's a whole lot of sport enthusiasts in North St. Andrew. So I'm pretty sure they'll be piling in soon. And I want to remind you what President Junior always said. Once you're at Kingston, a Kingston club meeting, you're never alone, sir. You're amongst friends.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Any other club from Division 23 Central? Okay, what about SLPs? Do we have an SLP online with us tonight?
Good evening. My apology for not responding earlier.
That's fine. Go ahead.
I bring you greetings on behalf of our president, Stacyan, who is not online yet, from the Kiwanis Club of Friends Across Borders. Currently, we are 3 in numbers: PED Thelma, Secretary Designate Antoinette, and I'm DP Bridget. We're looking forward for a very interesting meeting this evening, and we are also expecting others to join. Thank you.
Okay, thank you and your delegation for joining. And you know, when you say a while ago when you said your president will be joining soon, it just struck me. You know that there are a lot of persons, especially Jamaicans, they can't listen to sports without dressing up in their favorite jersey. So hopefully somebody's putting on their favorite jersey right now to come and listen to us.
That's a possibility.
It certainly is. But we're happy that you made it on time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Are there any SLPs? How about guests of Kiwanians?
Oh, being you done?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a guest. He was one of our guests a couple of weeks ago, but it's Eric Barrett, a
Okay.
former champ star. And I know that the topic
Okay.
was intriguing for him. So he's on. So welcome, Eric. Glad you could make it.
All right, thanks for having me.
Okay, so Barrett, welcome. And I guess I remember you're one of the original who taught them how to run on dirt tracks, right?
Yeah.
So you can tell these gentlemen that you're the one who laid the foundation for them to have the career as sports journalists, eh? Nice having you again.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Any other guests of Kiwanians? Okay, how about anyone you're not a Kiwanian, you're not a guest of a Kiwanian, but you joined us tonight because you heard who our guest speakers are going to be and you just couldn't miss it.
Night, I guess that would be me. Hi, I'm Yolande Giles Levy, wife of one of the speakers. So I'm here as a dutiful wife supporting you.
We can see.
Welcome.
All right, welcome. It is great to have you, and I'm going to tell you and all others listening that we don't have to wait until our spouses are our guest speakers to join the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. We meet every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and you're always welcome to join. The speakers are usually great.
I thank you very much for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other friends who have joined us this evening? Okay, well, I just want to say thank you all for coming. As I said, we know the pedigree of the gentlemen who are going to be on this evening. It's gonna be a great evening. So just sit back, relax, and it will soon, you'll soon hear the starters gun. For now, it's back to President Junior.
Thank you, P. Newton. And we just move on, trying to get this formal section off as quickly as possible so we can get into the real business. So apologies for absence. Any apologies for absence tonight? Willie? DLG?
None that I know of.
Oh, DP Marcel is going to be a little late, but he's back.
Yeah. I know Marcel is going to want.
Good night. Apologies for. Good night. Apologies
Yes,
for.
Andy. Didn't get that. Go again. Didn't get that. It seems to have. Okay. Any other apologies for absence? It's your time, VP Stephen. I can see that you're on and very much ready.
Thank you, President.
Yeah, recognition of birthdays.
Yes. Good evening to you. Good evening to our guests, especially invited guests and other guests on the meeting, as well as fellow Kiwanians. This part of our program, we usually celebrate birthdays and anniversaries of Kiwanians, and as well as, and I will extend it afterwards to anybody else who is celebrating a special occasion. So these are the Kiwanians, Kingston Club of Kingston people who are having birthdays or anniversaries, special occasions for the week of June 26th to July 1st. So first of all, Kiwanian Anthony Harris, he has his birthday on the 30th of June. So happy birthday to Kiwanian Anthony when it comes, as well as PD Stan Dunwell, his wife Patricia, on the 25th of June. Both of himself and his wife celebrate their wedding anniversary. So special anniversaries to PD Stan and Patricia on their special occasion. As well as DLGE Trevor Christian. Last week he was on the meeting. I checked, I didn't see him here this week, but he is DLG Trevor Christian and his wife Carol celebrate their birthday on July 2nd. So special anniversary to them also.
On the 5th of 7.
Oh, you are here, DLG Trevor.
Yeah, man, on the 5th of 7.
That's how old they are, DLG?
That's right.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes.
What is the secret to your longevity of your marriage?
Bad behavior. Can't put up with you. Can't put up with you.
Yeah. And the wife is always right.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations to you, sir. And thank you for your your wife's many years of service to the Kiwanis movement.
You should congratulate.
Yes, it should be the wife who congratulate.
Yes.
Yes.
It has to be her.
We know you as I'm chipping in and Steve. We know you would mind that DLG.
Yeah.
All right, all the best. I'm going down the list. You're all the best. Kiwanian Colin Barnett and his wife Rose also celebrate their birthday. Sorry. Right. Rose.
Leave it to the Sarge.
Yes, Kiwanian Colin Barnett's wife Rose has her birthday on the 1st of January. So Rose, happy birthday to you when it comes around 2 days from now. And lastly, Kiwanian Gladstone Mallet. He also has a birthday on July 1st. So happy birthday to Gladstone when it comes along. Is there anybody else who's on this call? We have 44 participants, including guests and visitors. Is there anybody who is celebrating a birthday, special occasion, anniversary that they'd like to share with us? If not, I'm looking forward to the presentation later on today. I know Ricardo Chambers. He and I worked at the same institution a few years back. So I know his sporting acumen and his knowledge, and I'm looking forward to Ricardo's presentation. I was also commenting to my wife recently that there's a whole generation of Jamaicans that would be anybody who grew up in the past let's say 15 to 20 years, which will be the Bolt and the Shellyan era, who only knows gold and success. And there is you see it reflected in our young athletes at the national level and so forth. But there was a time prior to that where we were used to silver and bronze. No disrespect to Marlene Otti and others, but and we used to look on at Americans who used to walk around with bloated chests and were very confident and show offish. And now we've come to an era where we as Jamaicans dominate track and field to a majority extent. So we are living in a golden era now. Hopefully it goes on much, much longer, but there was a time when Jamaica was not so proficient at athletics, but hopefully we'll build on what we have and that we have another generation of athletes that are coming up to fill the void that will be left as both Bolt has retired, and I suspect Shelley will also soon, to keep the name of Jamaica high and proud and continue thereafter. So that's it from me, President Junior. I'm looking forward to the presentation this afternoon, and it's back to your chairmanship.
And thank you, VP. Without any further ado, we'll go on to our next item on the program, which is Kiwanis education. And we'll ask none other but LGD Desmond.
Thank you, President.
Yes.
Thank you, President Junior. Good evening, everyone, fellow Kiwanians, SLP members, and guests. I'll talk on the topic President's Planning Conference. It is that meeting where the leadership of the club, consisting of the board members designate and appointed members, such as chairman designate, meet to 1, review the club's organizational structure and the responsibilities assigned to each elected and appointed member, review Kiwanis International District and Divisional goals for the Kiwanis Club to consider or incorporate them in the club's goals, referred to as the President's goals. 3, review and finalize the club's goals or objectives, the strategies and actions to achieve these strategies. These actions must have timelines for completion to improve the overall position of the club. The Strategic Planning Committee must submit a preliminary strategic plan report before the date of the conference. 4, review the preliminary budget prepared to allow the club to achieve its objectives. And that is it, President Junior, for education. Thank you.
Thank you, LGD, and I do look forward to this education from week to week. Now for the main event, but just before that, we are going to be asking our chairman, DP Stew, to do the introduction of these gentlemen. DP Stew?
Yes, thank you, President Junior.
Yes.
Well, it is my pleasure. And I'm really happy that we have these two gentlemen this afternoon.
Yes.
We're going to ask to share their views on what's coming up with July 6th to July 9th, which you all know what that is anyway. But let me start with a little short introduction with Leighton. Leighton Levy, 30-year media veteran in print and broadcast journalism, former news editor at Jamaica Gleaner, managing editor of the Today newspaper in St. Martin, host of Sports Nation Live and on Nationwide Radio, and currently content editor, senior writer, and analyst at Sportsmax TV. And I should remember that he's also married for 17 years to Yolande, and we met Yolande a little earlier, and has two boys. So, Leighton, thank you again for being part of this panel this evening. And I gotta switch to Ricardo. Just give me a second, since I'm just using one phone.
Calabar man.
Yes.
Yes, Calabar man.
Yes.
Ricardo Chambers, 15 years in full-time media. I can't hardly really figure it that long. I remember when he joined KLAS. That must have been the
Yes.
start. 18 years as a track and field announcer, commentator, covered events from Olympic Games, Youth Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games, champs, schoolboy football, and many others. And he left out that he also played a little tennis. And just recently, he won another. Well, I didn't realize it was not his first, but he won an amateur tennis tournament. So he told me it was his fourth amateur title. Now, I didn't ask Leighton, what sport do you play, Leighton? But we won't try to, I don't know if it would embarrass him. So, let us just leave that out of it. And it's now time for us to join up.
No, I can't answer that question,
Go ahead, Leighton. Oh yeah, you used to run. You used to run, right.
Yeah, I ran for Knox and the Carteret and at Champs, and I ran for Knox Community College at Intercollegiate Champs. I was a member of, I managed, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Boats of Lightning back in the 1980s. I was one of the team managers back. They're the first track club in Jamaica to go on the 42nd. I also played cricket for Knox, played table tennis, badminton, what else? Played football under 16 for Knox and the Carteret College. And I can't remember some of them, but it's been I've been playing sports since I was in prep school, which was about 6 or 7 years old.
Okay. So there's no question about your credentials, even though journalism is a little different from playing sports, but you certainly know what you're talking about. All right, gentlemen, in terms of the format, we're gonna have just a little general discussion. We're gonna go through a couple of issues, and we, I almost feel like sitting back and let Ricardo do it just like they do it on Sportsmax TV, and I just watch. But anyway, that's not why. That's not how we had planned it. So the first question I'd like to ask you guys: what events, can be more than one, are you most looking forward to seeing in the upcoming trials? And Ricardo, you go first. And tell us why.
Usually Leighton is the one running the first leg, but okay, not a problem. New coach, different order. Good evening again, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Usually when I'm asked this question ahead of national championships or any global event, I try extremely hard to not pick the 100 meters. And usually it works, because usually the 100 meters, I think both at the national level and at the international level, certainly maybe in the last 10, 15 years, in many ways has been straightforward. You know who the main contenders are, you know where it's likely to go. But I actually think it's going to be two of the more unpredictable events at the national championships this year, both the men's 100 and the women's 100. And a large part of the reason for that is just because of the unpredictability of the performances that we have seen this year from a number of the athletes. And just in terms of how different seasons have progressed. I mean, some seasons have just not progressed in the way that you would have expected based on how they started. Some in the positive direction, others in the negative direction. And it's just become very, very difficult to predict. On the men's side, I think it's difficult to predict from even choosing a winner, although some would say that's easy. I differ slightly, and I'll tell you why later on. And then on the women's side, I think while there is a clear favorite, it becomes very difficult to predict beyond who the potential winner is going to be. So for me, it's both the men's and the women's 100 meters.
Okay. Leighton, your time to answer the same question. Which event?
Ricardo covered the 100, so I wouldn't even touch that. The events that I'm looking forward to actually are the sprint hurdles. when I started hosting Sports Nation Live on Nationwide Radio, I'm no longer the host, by the way. I made an assessment based on what I was seeing at the grassroots level coming up. And one of the things that I did believe was that we were going to excel within the next 5 to 10 years, which is now in the sprint hurdles and the field events. And I think one of the events, having said that, one of the big events that I'm looking forward to is actually the 100-meter hurdles for women, even though Brittany Anderson is out with injury for the rest of the season, and the 110 hurdles for men, because I think the growing depth in both those events, I think will be kind of a benchmark as to where we're headed in the future in terms of the quality of performance that Jamaica is able to produce. Brittany Anderson, as you all know, finished with the silver medal at the World Championships last year, 12:31, a new national record that broke Daniel Williams' 12:32 from 2019. The thing is, when you look at the fact that Akira Nugent, Megan Tapper, Daniel Williams was the 2015 champion, and Demisha Roswell will be contending for those spots to go to Budapest in the summer. On the men's side, the depth is even more extraordinary with the likes of Rashid Broadbell, the Olympic champion, the Commonwealth champion, Andrew Parchment, the Olympic champion, Orlando Bennett, a resurgent Tyler Mason, of course, the young Philip Lemonis, who finally seems to have overcome his injury issues. I think we're in for, and look, we don't know whether Omar McLeod is going to show up, given what we've seen for the last two trials, where he finished down the track and, of course, had his own issues there. But I think just to be able to see the level of the depth of quality of competition in those events, I think for me is going to be one of the events that I'm looking forward to. Also, I want to see what young Jaden Hibbert, who is currently the world leader, Ricardo can correct me, I think he's still the world leader at 1787. We were going up against somebody like our Brian Wasom. We have not had a world-class triple jumper in real terms since James Beckford in the 1990s, who jumped 1792, which is a national record. I want to see what young Jaden does, because he's only had, a lot of people don't even realize, he's won everything at NCAA level this year with 12 jumps. 12 jumps. So just to see what he'll be able to come to the national championships and produce in front of his home crowd before he obviously goes to Budapest, because the thing is that he's already qualified. So, I mean, in real terms, all he has to do is finish in the top 3 at national championships. I'm curious to see what he's able to jump if he goes off his full run, because he has not run off his full run all season, as his coaches have revealed that because of his increased speed, they've been easing him into the full 14-step run-up. When he jumped at 1787, he did it off 12 steps. So let's see what, I'm wondering if they're going to start to unleash him at the 14 steps come the national championships and see what he's able to produce then. Because maybe we'll be seeing the first 80-meter jump this season and the first 80-meter jump period from a Jamaican, in the triple jump. I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. So those are the events that I'm looking forward to. Notwithstanding the 100 meters, of course, Ricardo explained about the uncertainty and the mystery that surrounds both events this year, given the injury issues and the other challenges that faced our primary sprinters. But beyond those events, in both male and female sides, I'm looking forward to the respective events, the sprint hurdles, and of course the field events, as well as the long jump. I'll get into that later on. But I think some of those events are the ones that I'm looking forward to most.
Okay, you covered quite a range there. Thanks for that. I don't know if any of you guys can remind me. Daniel Williams ran at 12:30 something. It was wind dated, but I didn't get the figure as to how much the wind was. Any of you know?
No, it was. Yeah.
Say it again.
Positive 2.8 meters per second.
Okay, 2.8. I hadn't heard that figure. Yeah, and so I'm glad I know. But still a good time. I mean, and it's probably, if you did the adjustment, it's probably one of our most competitive runs in recent times. Well, I want to do a little switch. Sorry, who was going to say something a while ago?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I want to do a little switch, although Leighton kind of bordered on it. But since Ricardo had confined himself to basically 100 meters, I want to ask him a little bit about what he thought about the hurdles, which was what Leighton spoke more about. Ricardo, how are you feeling about the hurdles? And I'm kind of curious if you could bring in something about Akira. In the past, we have had standouts at the NCAA, and yet when they came to the trials, they didn't quite live up to expectations. Sometimes basically overworked, but I don't think Akira was overworked this year. They didn't even put her in the 100 flat. So give me an idea how you feel about the hurdles, both the men and the women, before we go into the general discussion after.
Yeah, so the women's hurdles. So for me, there's no doubt that Akira is the genuine article. And in the absence of Brittany Anderson, who won the world silver medal last year, Akira probably comes into the trials as favorite. I mean, she comes off an outstanding NCAA season where she won both indoors and out, where she set records indoors, where she ran fast outdoors. And I think Akira comes with, outside of just her genuine quality, she comes with a lot of confidence. This is a young lady who is now developing a habit of winning. She's getting to that stage where she does not know how to lose. And in those rare situations where she does loses, she is finding ways to rebound and rebound quickly. And I think all of those things are very good for her and her overall development. And I would be shocked if she came to the trials and at worst did not make the team, meaning finish in the top 3. You're talking about a young lady who was the fastest under 18 athlete in history, who has produced some of the fastest times at the under 20 level, and who is now stepping up to the senior level seamlessly. And when you also consider that she transferred from Baylor University to Arkansas and has gotten even better in the space of just one season. I think it speaks a lot to just the talent and how good she is as a talent. Having said that, and I fully expect her to be there, Danielle Williams has also shown that she is in good enough shape to make the top 3. And then I think beyond that, a lot of it becomes a guessing game. And then you start to say to yourself, who will squeeze through? So I fully expect those two to be there. You can never count out Megan Tapper. I heard someone call her Miss Trials the other day, because she seems to find a way to find her best when it comes to the national championships or just championships in general. She is that type of competitor. Same thing for Yannick Thompson, who is making her way back from a couple seasons of injury and ran 12:87 on the weekend. And she is the type of competitor, Yannick Thompson, who can move from 12:87 into the 12:7 lows or the 12:6 regions. And if she is able to do that, there is no telling what can happen on the day when, of course, everything is on the line. Athletes can get nervous. They may not run as fast as the type of shape that they are in suggests. There's also Kerika Hill, who is coming through. Wasn't impressed. Clearly, she wasn't at her best at the Racers Grand Prix. But again, she is just a super talent. And the women's hurdles, the women's sprint hurdles, is just going to be a race that you absolutely cannot miss. Similar to the men's side. However,
before you go to the men,
yeah,
Kerika Hill, you know, I agree. She's an amazing talent. She didn't complete the race. The last, I think that was at the Racers Grand Prix.
That was at the Racers Grand Prix,
right.
Yes.
First time I've seen a misstep from her. But you also mentioned Yannick Thompson. Thompson, sorry. Has she run since the season? I'm seeing her name.
Yes, she has.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
it has been a long road back from injury, but she has slowly grown into the 2023 season. So she started out by running a few 100-meter races. Nothing impressive about them. I think she broke 12 seconds on about her third race of the campaign. But what is happening with Yannick is that she's slowly getting better and better. And if you know a lot about her history and her ability to peak at the national championships, if you look at the history of Yannick Thompson, you will find that most of her top performances, most of her fast times have actually come at the national championships. So I would say that this season is shaping up in a similar way to many seasons where she has been very good have shaped up. And which is why I wouldn't be surprised if she turned up at the Nationals, ran faster than 12:75. And as I said, if she does that, you just never know what will happen on the day. We've seen national championships before where athletes come in running really fast, but when the pressure hits, when you realize that this is going to be a tight one, and the top athletes don't necessarily execute as well as they have in the build-up, then Yannick Thompson is the type of performer who can take advantage of that. And so if she did, I wouldn't be surprised. Put it this way, I fully expect Yannick to run about 12:75 at the Nationals. I think there are 3 women who should run faster than that, but if they don't, then I think Yannick Thompson will have a chance.
Okay, you are gonna go on to say something about the men. Finish
Yeah,
up.
I was gonna
Go
say that it's tough on the men's side as well, but for me the path is clearer because I think the top men have separated themselves for me. So I have gone through this race several times, and I can't see a way how Rashid Broadbell does not make the team. I can't see a way how Hansa Parchment does not make the team. And then I think it comes down to that 3rd spot. But I believe that Ronald Levy, who is the Olympic bronze medalist, as much as he's only coming back from injury this season, he had surgery following the Olympic Games, was out for pretty much the entire 2022 campaign and only returned this year. But from what I've seen from him in the few races that he's run, and given who his coach is, Stephen Francis, who is just a master at getting athletes to peak and getting athletes to be ready for majors. And because he's done it with Levy before, and because Levy has the quality, then I am giving Levy that 3rd spot. Not that I'm forgetting all the other athletes who Leighton spoke about, but those would be the 3 for me: Broadbell, Parchment, and Ronald Levy for the men's 110-meter hurdles.
Okay, I wanna do it a little different rather than going from event to event. Since we touched on some of the collegians a while ago, I want to give me an idea, and Leighton, you probably can go first on this. Who are the collegians who are coming off a season now, who you are looking out for? It doesn't matter what event. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, well, let's start with the hurdles. Akira Nugent, of course, who is, Ricardo rightly says, is favored to win the 100-meter hurdle. So, woman who I think will probably run something like 13:3. I spoke to Chris Johnson, her coach, earlier, right after the indoor season, and her improvements technically and her speed makes her, for me, the overwhelming favorite to win her first national title at the senior level. But there's also Philip Lemonius, who also at Arkansas, who won his first NCAA title with a brand new personal best of 13:24. And while I don't often disagree with Ricardo, because we have a common thinking when it comes to the athletes, I do believe that win could be a fillip for him to end up in the top 3 at national championship. Of course, that has to play out. Then, of course, there's Kevona Davis, who a lot of Jamaicans are expecting miracles from in her first 2 years at the University of Texas, who, when I spoke to her coach, Coach Floreal, just a few weeks ago, just a couple of weeks ago, actually, he said that she's coming to the championships to compete. She usually shows up, he says, first 2 years, and she showed up and she participated this year. He expects her to be competitive, meaning that he's expecting her to probably produce times within the region of what we saw the NCAA this year, 22.3 in the 200, I think. And of course, she ran 22.3 indoors as well, and 10.80 winded, but 11.0 something. What is 11.0 record? 11.04, 11.08 on the NCAA championships. The thing is that he's expecting her to do well there. Of course, who I also looking forward to is a young lady who runs a 400 meters. Just trying to ensure that I get her name right here. Nikisha Price, who is who is a 400-meter runner who finished third at the NCAAs in the 400 meters. So, those are 5 of the key athletes who are coming into the championship out of college. And of course, Lamar Distin, of course, who kind of unexpectedly finished second in the high jump this year, trying to defend her title, but finishing second this year with a best of 190, well, not best, but 191, but have cleared 195 this season, which puts her in the top 10 in the world. So those are some of the top athletes coming out of the NCAA system into the national championships this season.
Leighton, is Cherokee is not in college? Or?
No, Cherokee went pro last year after the Olympic Games. She signed with Puma, so she's no longer a collegiate athlete. Neither is Stacey Ann Williams, who was at Texas, but also has gone pro. She's with the Performance Group, which is the Ronaldo Walcott group with Shelley and Fisher Price. So Cherokee has gone pro. Stacey Ann Williams has gone pro as well.
Yeah.
Nikisha Price is still in college.
Yeah, and also, Leighton, I mean, just on the collegiate athletes, because you mentioned a few of the field event competitors. But
yes, Roger Stoner,
Wayne Pinnock, Roger Stoner,
Kerry McLeod,
Jaden Hibbert, who you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in terms of the field events, it's a star-studded cast of collegiate athletes. And in many ways, if you're talking about potential medal candidates for Jamaica at the World Championships, especially on the men's side, a lot of them are coming out of the collegiate system and they are coming in the field event. So Wayne Pinnock, who was in the World Championship final last year, Kerry McLeod, who is just an abundance of talent, Roger Stoner, as Leighton pointed out, who is improving all the time in the discus throw, and of course, Leighton spoke earlier about Jaden Hibbert. So a lot of quality coming out of the NCAA system for Jamaica this year.
All right, let's take a little switch then. I want to look at the juniors and the juniors who are aspiring to make this team. Which ones do you think have the best chance? And tell us a little bit about the juniors that you have seen.
To make the senior team or to make the junior team?
No, to make the senior team. Who are aspiring to make the senior team.
Yeah, that's why it's going to be interesting. You want to take a crack at that, Ricardo, first before
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, for me, DeAndre Daly jumps out right away. Just because I think he is a phenomenal talent. Boaji and Nkrumah is a phenomenal talent as well. And if Nkrumah hadn't gotten hurt at the Carifta Games, then we would be having maybe a completely different discussion right now. But it's very difficult to tell what type of shape Nkrumah will turn up at the Nationals in. He is fit again. He has run a couple of races, 10:41 and 10:33. So he has gotten better with those two races. But I think there are still question marks as to whether his confidence and explosiveness and belief will return in time for him to make a really big run to be on that team, especially because I think it's going to be an extremely competitive men's 100 meters. But DeAndre Daly, I've always had a lot of time for. I saw that young man for the first time when he was class 3 running at the Stets Invitational in Santa Cruz some years ago. This is pre-COVID that we're talking about now. And I thought to myself, the first time I saw him, and I don't say this often when I see athletes, especially under 14 years old, but I remember when I saw him at Stets, I thought to myself, I am looking at a world beater right here. That's how strongly I feel about the talent that is DeAndre Daly. Now, it has taken him some time to produce the type of performances we have seen in the last couple of years, but a large part of the reason for that is because he has struggled to make it past March with each season because of injuries. Those injury concerns are still there, some of them, but they have been able, along with his coach, to manage them a lot better over the last 2 years. And what have we seen? We saw him win the Carifta Games last year, which was the first time he had competed in the month of April. We saw him return this year, probably would have defended his Carifta title had it not been for that controversial false start in the Bahamas. But we've seen him run 10-1-4, finishing behind Bouagie and Kumi at champs, and now he's down to 10-0-8. He's in the range to challenge the big boys, and I have no doubt that he's going to be even better at the national championships. In fact, I would be a little bit surprised and a little bit disappointed if he did not go faster than 9.99 at the nationals. And so I think he has a genuine shot of making the team, even if not an individual spot, but then definitely potentially a spot in the relay pool.
Okay.
And I'm backing that up 100%. No, I'm backing that up 100%. I think the reason why I wanted Ricardo to go first is because one of the things that there's not very many juniors who are always willingly say they're going to make a senior team, because I'm not one of those who believe that you make the jump from junior to senior just like that. We have a tendency to believe that the transition is an easy process. It is not. And oftentimes we burden these young athletes with expectations who are not ready for that jump. People forget that it took Usain Bolt almost 4 years before he was able to get to that level where he was competitive on the global stage. And we all know how talented he was when he was at William Knibb. But after 2007 World Championship in Osaka, where he came second, people forget also that he was in the final of the 200 meters of the World Championship in Helsinki in 2005. The thing is that he didn't make that breakthrough in terms of his physicality until 2007, and then in 2008, the world, everybody knows what happened since that point. So
yeah, but just one second. Remember, we weren't talking about when these juniors are going to become world beaters. We're just talking about them making the national team.
I know, but similarly, because of the quality of competition we tend to see at the national championship, it is often sometimes unfair to expect these kids to come in and break through at that level, even at the local level, because as was mentioned on top of this meeting, is the fact that we are no longer a country that produces bronze medalists and finalists. We are a country that produces gold medalists and world record holders. Therefore, the gap between the high school level and the senior level, even in Jamaica today, is a significant one to bridge coming out of high school. It is rare when that happens. So sometimes I'm reluctant to speak on those things because I'm not one of those who expect great things from our juniors during the transition process. So Ricardo is more familiar with them than I am, admittedly, but at the same time, I tend to watch and see where the progression is. That, of course, Tina Clayton just left out of high school, she's gone pro. There is a feeling, and I think Ricardo will back me up on this, that she'll probably come out and do something spectacular at the national championships. But for me, I have to wait and see her for her to do that first. Given where we see, of course, Shelley and Fraser Price is going to be coming to the national championships and opening her season there. Erica Jackson has run 10.78. Alana Reid has run 10.92. Sasha Lee Forbes has run 10.98. Tina Clayton's 10.95 is faster than Sasha Lee Forbes, but will she be able to come to the national championships after less than a year of going pro to be able to do that? That's something that I think I'm going to have to wait and see without making a prediction on that, which is one of the reasons why I allowed Ricardo to go first.
And Leighton, you make a few important points, right? So one of them is the difficulty for junior athletes, for high school athletes to break through at the senior level and even make relay pools. And part of the reason that is so difficult is because of the depth that Leighton spoke about. So here's an example. Let's use the same DeAndre Daly that I just spoke about. And who knows, DeAndre Daly may decide to compete at the junior championships and not try and make the senior team. Mind you, I think if he does go for the senior team, he has a good shot. But here's the difficulty for him. If DeAndre Daly runs with the juniors, the first round of the 100 meters, he can run 10.4 and he will make the semifinals comfortably. He can come back in the semifinals and he can run 10.3 and he will make the final comfortably. if he runs with the seniors, the first.
We
Lost
lose
the
it.
audio, Ricardo.
Lost the sound a little, Ricardo. Maybe you could just repeat. It's not back yet. Okay.
He's gonna have
I think it is having a little
to
buffer.
go at least guarantee my spot in the semi-final. Is 4-5, 3-4-5? Is this better now? So
Yes,
think
it
that
is.
so in a situation where he competes with the
He's gone again.
Yeah, you gonna get.
If I can pick up the point, because I see where he's going with that. Ricardo, your audio is gone. So let me see if I can help
in
you
the
with it.
first
In the first one, he's going to probably have to run somewhere in the region of 10, 20 something to get to the semifinal round. And then in the semifinal round, he's going to have to run maybe even faster to get to the final. Can his body hold up to the strain of running that fast over 2 or 3 rounds, as opposed to when he's competing at the junior level? Given what we've seen from Oblique Seville, and of course, we have Julian Ford is going to be there, Akeem Blake is going to be there, Johan Blake, and a number of others who are Adrian Carr and others who are running well. He's going to have to exert greater levels of energy across the rounds of competition, which could mitigate against him doing well in the final and making the top 3.
Yeah.
Are you back now, Ricardo? Your voice? Your audio?
I hope.
I heard part of what you said a while ago. Try again. All right, I want to take the discussion a little bit more off the track and focus a little bit more on our field events. And I want to touch on the discus in particular, men, in that we have had some good successes or near successes in the past, especially with Frederick Dakers. We have a lot of upcoming young men who are on the border of doing very well internationally. But I don't think the numbers are right there yet. But I want to get a little perspective from you on, well, who the 3 may be and how are we doing internationally in relation to an event like that, where we've been knocking on the door, but not quite at the medal level?
Well, a couple of things. First thing is that my top 3 for the national championships, barring anything unforeseen, is Frederick Dakers, Travis Michael, and Roger Stoner. They're the only 3 that have made the qualifying standard so far this year. And Roger Stoner threw 68 this year, so did Travis Michael. Frederick Dakers is right there about 66. He's trying to get his rhythm back after 2-3 years of injury issues with his wrist, with his knee, both knees, and being out of competition for such a long time. He's lost a lot of his rhythm, and he's gradually getting back to that level where he's throwing consistently over 65 meters. So when you look at what's there, though, in the build-up, you have youngsters like Kai Chang, for example, who a consistent 63-meter throw. The challenge with that is that the world has not, in the last couple of seasons, we've seen a young athlete throw 70 meters. Che has thrown 73, I think. Of course, Daniel Starr continues to throw 70 meters consistently. So the best throwers in the world are somewhere between 69 and 73 meters on a more consistent basis, which I think is where you're going to need to be on the podium at the World Championships. Can our 3 athletes get to the final? I believe they can. Can they win a medal? It is going to be difficult, but it is possible. But it's going to be very, very difficult given where these youngsters are, because Che is very young. Young Leighton, whose father was also the world record holder, he's throwing 70 meters and he's still in college. So it's going to be tough. And of course, with Goodzios still throwing well, and of course, we mentioned Daniel Stahl. So I think we have the quality to get into the final of the World Championships. Getting a medal, though, is going to be a little bit tougher than perhaps in previous years because of where the discus has moved to in recent years, where 70 meters now is almost the standard. by which you have to throw to get a medal at the World Championships. But I think there's a lot of progress being made thanks to people like Julian Robinson, of course, Michael Vassell. I think our young throwers are coming through on a consistent basis. Where I think in another few years we'll probably have 3 or 4 throwers throwing well over 68 meters, if not 70 meters, in maybe in a year or two. Once everybody stays healthy, I think that's where it's probably going to be in the next couple of years for Jamaica's throwers.
Yeah, Leighton, I say I agree with you, right? But I also don't want us to sleep on Travis Michael. And I tell you why. Because I think he's had an outstanding season.
Yes.
He just had a win at the New York Grand Prix as well. But what I think is also happening with Travis is that a lot of his performances have been coming at the National Stadium. And if you look at the results generally, the National Stadium, for some reason, is an extremely difficult place to get massive throws. And Travis is consistently throwing over 55 meters and sometimes 66 meters inside the National Stadium. And I think when he gets the opportunity to go head to head with some of the best in the world at more favorable throwing venues, he could actually be much closer to 67, 68 meters on a consistent basis. And I just cannot wait to Europe and gets the opportunity to throw against some of the best in the world. Travis is also hungry, and that group, and it is an outstanding group. But I would say don't sleep on Travis Michael, because I think this is a year that he could surprise a lot of people.
And just to add to that, Ricardo, one of the things that I need to explain here is that throwing in an indoor facility is a lot more difficult because of airflow to get the discus out to those distances than in a more open stadium. At National Stadium, where it's largely enclosed, the wind flow, the airflow across the stadium is not conducive to very long throws. So you'll probably see a 66 or 67 meter throw, wherein you throw somewhere as an open facility, you'll probably be closer to 68 meters, which is one of the reasons why it's so difficult to get big throws at the National Stadium. So it depends on what the stadium in Budapest will look like, because you could very well see inside a stadium in Budapest where the airflow is not as free as throwers would like it to be. You could see 68 meters winning goal, because of the challenging indoor conditions. I use the term indoor loosely, but the airflow is different from when you're throwing in a more open facility.
Yeah, I'm glad you raised that point, because a lot of persons do not understand or were not necessarily aware of how, I remember when I was at Calabar in the early days, we used to have a guy named Thought. We always used to hear that, boy, Thought shows some fantastic distances. But he never really went, he went to champs, of course, but never did anything quite like that. But our field was open. So maybe that had something to do with it as well. All right,
They definitely did.
I wanna get the audience now involved, but I just want to focus on one more event, and then I want to open it, because I know some of they want to ask, they want to have their own questions to ask. I think with our long jump, nobody has said anything. Well, we didn't really speak about it.
I was hoping that you would go to that event, because I think it's going to be one of the events at the National Championships. So in this event, you have the 2019 world champion in Tajay Gale, who is making his way back. Now, you might not have seen those massive distances on the board yet this season. And Tajay has not been as consistent as I think. Everything is slowly coming together for him, and between the national championships and the world, you're going to see a significantly improved Tajay Gale. So there's Tajay. You have the NCAA indoor champion in Wayne Pinnock, who got to the world championship final last year. You have the NCAA outdoor champion in Kerry McLeod, who, as I pointed out earlier, is just a super talent. So those are already your top 3 guys. And then you have several other jumpers who have the ability. Jordan Turner, who was in the NCAA top 3, the former Calabar jumper, is going to be likely in the field as well. No, because Jordan goes to CSC, sorry. So Jordan has, I think, skipped that and gone to the CSC games, but it is still a fantastic lineup. And even if you just think about the top 3 men in that field, I think everyone who is inside the National Stadium when that event is
You're breaking up again, Ricardo.
On the penultimate evening, the Saturday evening, should be, because it's going to be a cracker of an event.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
maybe like the throw, it can be difficult to get big jumps inside the National Stadium.
Yeah, and I had a discussion with Tajir Gill just prior to the race of the Grand Prix.
But maybe for the first time ever at Nationals, we could over 820.
Oh, you're saying Leighton. Go ahead.
I had a conversation with Tajir Gill the night before the race of the Grand Prix meet. And his knee issues are largely behind him, according to what he says. The problem that he's having now is hitting his mark on the run-up because he's folding a lot, primarily because his speed has improved a lot in the last couple of seasons, now that he's healthy again. And so that speed is about what he's trying to control to allow him to hit the board consistently and not foul. But I do believe, like Ricardo says, if he gets his run-up right and starts to hit the board more consistently, I think we're going to see some big performances from him at the national championships. And if he gets to Budapest, we'll probably see some big performances from them as well. Of course, he has a strong crew behind him. Of course, when McLeod has jumped 8 meters 40 indoors this season, and of course, Wayne Pinnock, who is well over 8 meters 20 consistently so far, this season. So if they, all 3 gentlemen, end up in Budapest, Jamaica has got the very, very competitive in that event as well.
Okay. Let me open it up now to our audience. You can do it by putting up your hand. You know how to do it from a technological point of view. I will see your hands. So the first, nobody has put up their hands yet. But let me just, we haven't spoken a lot about some of them. There's a little question I have in my mind. My mind has run on Christopher Taylor. And we know the problem he has been in. But I was wondering, is there a rule that would allow someone like that, who is under the threat of suspension, but it hasn't been finalized, to compete in a trials? And then, because if you don't compete in the trials, you can't make the team. I'm just wondering, is there anything that allows for that? What?
No, Christopher Taylor has been provisionally suspended, so he's not going to be able to compete, period.
Oh yes, he has been provisionally suspended.
Yeah, so he can't.
But there's no option. There's no option.
No, he's out. And based on the information that we have, we could be seeing him again in the next 2 to 4 years, depending on how the AIU panel decides. So we may see him at 25 or see him at 27.
Okay, I see a hand up. Clovis, go right ahead.
Yes,
Clovis.
thank you. I'd just like to hear from Leighton and Ricardo. If at this point in time, not potential or anything, at this point in time, if they were to name 6 ladies that make the pool for the 100 and the relays, who would that 6 people be?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Somehow I was expecting this question, which is why I started out by speaking about the unpredictability of the women's 100 meters. But let me try, right, to give you a top 6. And I guarantee you that when I give you that top 6, you're probably going to call a name who you think should be there, who I haven't called. And these will include all the possible individuals. So I will start with Shelley-Ann Fraser-Pryce, who will be opening her season at the National Championships, and she has the wild card to the World Championships already. Sharika Jackson, I am dropping in that 6 as well. So that's 2. Oh, this is where it gets tough now. I am also putting Brianna Williams in that 6. I am going Alana Reed in that 6. So that is 4. I am if Kevona Davis runs the 100 meters, I am putting her into that 6. That's 5. And I am also putting a young lady by the name of Janelle Smith in that 6.
No, Kimber Nelson, Ricardo.
You see, I told you there would be somebody who you would ask about. No, listen, Kimber is an outstanding athlete. There's no doubt about that. But again, if you look at the type of season that she had, now I watched Kimber closely at the last all-comers meet when she was beaten by Brianna Williams, because I wanted to see what was the trajectory for her, because she did run, I think, a windy 11.14 some weeks ago, and I wanted to see how she would turn around after that. It was 11.18. She was well beaten by Brianna Williams, and I just think that with the depth in quality, I would just be a little bit surprised if she can turn it around enough to make it into that top 6. But once again, because the
not hearing you, but
field is so
one of the names,
close,
Ricardo.
it's
Tina
not impossible.
Clayton.
But I gave my top 6.
Yeah, no, I noticed
so
that.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Oh,
we heard you.
Yeah.
But Ricardo, there's another notable name.
Awesome. So Leighton, go on.
Let me just say. Sorry, let me come in here. Ricardo, there's another notable name that you didn't mention.
Please tell.
You know, one Elaine Thompson hero. Now
Didn't
we all know.
I didn't mention Elaine.
No, you didn't.
No,
you didn't. No, I mean,
I thought I did.
You thought you did?
Yes, I thought I did. Are you sure? Hold on. Are you sure that I didn't mention Elaine?
Sure.
Let's do that again. Let's do that again.
Okay,
Shelly,
I have them in order.
Shelly, Sharika,
Brianna.
Elaine, Brianna.
No, you didn't say Elaine.
No, he's doing it again now.
Go on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Shelly, Sharika, Elaine, Brianna.
Alana.
Not in any particular.
No, he's not
in any
trying to.
particular order.
Right.
Alana Reed and Janelle Smith. So this
Well,
time around, I've left out.
That's okay. This is his 6 now. This is his 6 now.
Davis.
Yeah.
And
but Kevona may be a stronger contender in the 200.
Anyway, I'm relieved.
And part of that is that I think her focus. There are some other top 6 that you might not see the name that you just called. And someone asked about Tina Clayton. So here's my thing on Tina Clayton, right? Clearly she's in a very good program under the guidance of Stephen Francis, but she has not really competed this season. She's had a couple of races where she's run like 30 and 40 meters and then stopped. And just from what I've heard about injury niggles that she's had, and again, given how competitive the field is, I am just not convinced at this stage that she will be able to turn it around to be in the top 6. But again, Stephen Francis is a genius, so let's see what happens. But I don't have her in my top 6 right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Clovis, for opening
One
the
last
batting.
thing, Spencer. Just allow me one last comment. I do not have Elaine in my 6, and
Neither do I.
I do not believe Elaine will be in the 6. But what about Brianna Liston?
No.
No, not even close.
Not even close? Okay.
Tough year, first year in university.
First year.
A tough one. She had some injury niggles and she just hasn't recovered yet to produce the quality performances that would give her a shot. And even if she had a shot, it would more be at 200 than it is at 100
And 100.
meters.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if I should throw my six in there, my six wouldn't include Elaine Thompson.
I
When I
want
watch
to hear your six, Leighton.
my six is very difficult, but there's Sherika and Shelley, obviously. Brenna Williams. I think Natasha Morris is going to be in there. I'm worried about the fatigue factor for Alana Reid because she's been running all year. She ran 11.17 in Japan last weekend. I'm not sure whether or not she'll be fresh enough to go the rounds and handle the depth of the squad. But I'm willing to give her the edge here because of the fierce competitor that she is. But so she's in my six as well. And I would probably venture to say Sasha Lee Forbes, given the form she's been in so far this season. She's been consistently in the 11-1 to 10.98 range. So I'd probably put her in my six as well. But in Thompson, 11.24, she got no separation from an ordinary field on Saturday. And I don't see where in 2 weeks without competition, even if she had competition in the next 2 weeks, I don't see her getting to a level where she's going to be competitive enough to run faster than 11.1 at the national championship because she said it herself. I don't think she's mentally ready and I don't think she's physically ready for what is to come at the national championships in just under 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, Leighton, you had Natasha Morrison in your six?
No.
Yeah, man.
So,
I said Sherika, Brianna, Natasha Morrison, Alana Reid, and Sasha Lee Forbes.
Yeah, so I'm sure like somebody probably is going to be asking, why did Ricardo have Janelle Smith in his six and not a Natasha? Because in a few head-to-head races this season, Janelle Smith has gotten the better of a number of those athletes, including Natasha.
Your sound is gone. Probably buffering. I hear you right now. Right? Okay.
Including Brianna Williams. And I just think she's trending in the right direction. So she's only 11.13 on season's best, but against, yes, I was saying she's only 11.1. I think she's 11.13 heading to some of the other names, but I think she gets a spot into that top six.
I like her, actually, I'm very sorry that she had that accident a couple of years ago. But obviously it set her back. But I've seen her run some relay legs for Jamaica, and she has a kind of a spirit that I like to see, on a relay team and as an individual runner. I like her a lot.
She's a warrior.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, she is. That she is.
In fact, her name on Instagram is Trap Bully, which I think kind of describes her. Okay, I don't see any more hands up. Earl, you didn't have a question? Who else wants to ask a question? Because we're getting close to having to wrap, but we're not there yet. All right, let us look at there's something that has bothered me. And this is I'm talking about oh gosh. What I'm talking about is our triple jumper, but our female triple jumper.
Shanika Ricketts.
Right. And I didn't want to pronounce her name like Sharika Jackson. So I was trying to get that sorted out in my head. But I'm kind of worried that she has plateaued. And I'm wondering, what does she need to do to get to 15 meters?
What I can say, based on a conversation I had with her at the recent Grand Prix, she's working on the different phases of her jump and she's making improvements. One of the things that we know about Kerry Lee Ricketts' program with Janika is that you may not see her bring her best game during the course of the regular season, but once she gets to the championships, they'll be ready to compete. And so far, she's been there between 14:20 and 14:40 this season. I suspect that by the time we get to Budapest, she'll be ready to jump closer to 15 meters, if not 15 meters itself. But it's going to be very competitive because, as you know, Rojas is virtually unbeatable. But there are a couple of Europeans who are in the mix as well. But and a Cuban who's been right in the top of the world rankings this year. The reality is, though, I think that we will see the best of Shanika Ricketts once she qualifies for the national championship. Because I think her other competitor at the national championships will be Akeelia Smith, who will jump 708 in the long jump this year for Texas. And of course, 14:54 in the triple jump. I think they will bring the best out of each other. I think Kimberly Williams is past her best based on what I've seen from her for the last couple of seasons. So unless there's something that we're not seeing, I think it will be the top two will be Shanika Ricketts and Akeelia Smith. If Akeelia chooses to do the triple jump as opposed to just focusing on the long jump, where she's among the best in the world this year at 7.08 meters. So I wouldn't worry too much about Shanika just yet.
At the risk of offending some people, and I'm not gonna say anything really offensive, but we have a couple of coaches, or rather athletes, who are being coached by their spouses. Shanika is one. Is it also possible that he has taken her as far as he can?
That's a possibility. The thing is, they've been working together for a very long time. And he probably knows her better than anybody else. The fact is that Shanika is not getting any younger. And I think 14:98, I think, is her PB in a time when, had it not been for Rojas, she should have probably been a two-time world championship gold medalist. So maybe her physical limit is at 14:90. I mean, 14:98. The reality is that we can never. It's too difficult to say whether or not he's taken her as far as he can go, because we've seen how far he has taken her from college right through a professional career, where she's been among the medals for the last two world championships and was just missed out of the medal at the Olympic Games. So it's a possibility, but whether or not it's a certainty is another thing altogether. But I think he has taken her a long way, and she has significantly improved over the past 3 or 4 seasons under his tutelage. Whether or not it's at his peak is, I think, only time can tell.
Okay, I think we have some hands up. Let's go to Marcel.
Thank you, my friend. Yes, good night all. Listen, I joined late, so maybe it was dealt with, and if it was, I will understand. Just a quick one. I've noticed internationally that talking about male sprinters now, that I don't want to call a name, but a number of male sprinters, American and on the African continent, has been in a lot of competitive races, competitive running. Question: is there a chance of knowing that Budapest is some time away, that they would have peaked, and I don't see our men, the male sprinters, doing as much competitive running? Correct me if I'm wrong, and I know nothing sharpens you like competitive running. Just your views on it.
Ricardo, you want to take that first, and then before I go at it, or you want me to go?
All right, so let me try see if I can answer it from this angle, right? So one, about the international athletes and whether they have peaked too early. Was that the question?
Yeah.
All right, so one of the things I think we have to be very careful about with especially the African sprinters who compete at high altitude early in the season, you are really looking at exaggerated performances. So for example, Amaniala, who runs 984 in February or March in high altitude conditions, at normal conditions, you're probably looking at 9.9 high or even 10.0. And you see subsequent to that, that the real shape that he's in is really 9.9 to 10.0. And so sometimes we have to be careful with a lot of those fast times that we see at what I like to consider fast venues. And so I like to really look at the average time to determine what type of shape an athlete is really in. As to the question of the Jamaican sprinters and whether they should be involved in more competitive races, yes, but I think what has happened as well is that a number of our top male sprinters have been struggling with injuries. So Oblique Seville got hurt before the Racers Grand Prix, remember, missed the Racers Grand Prix. So that would have probably impacted a few big races that he would have run in that period. Similar thing for someone like a Julian Fort, who had a great start to the season. And maybe a number of the other sprinters as well. So I think that always has to be taken into consideration, that maybe the injuries are what have prevented a number of our elite male sprinters from competing a lot more. We've seen Johan Blake compete in a couple of Diamond League meets, and he was in Hungary on the European circuit as well. But yeah, I think injuries. Yeah,
there's also the issue that Africa, because of where it is geographically, the Africans that's from South Africa, right along the eastern coast of Africa, from Ghana, Nigeria, going down to South Africa, their seasons are different than ours. So when it's spring here, it's probably winter there. So their seasons tend to be a little bit longer based on how the season is structured on the western side of the world. So they probably start a little bit earlier and are competing for a lot longer. And as Ricardo said, some of them, those performances are at altitude, which it then enhances the performance to a level where it's difficult for them to maintain that kind of form for the length of the season. Because if you remember, it's not now that Africans are running it. I remember Francis Obikwelu, from Nigeria, they all ran really, really fast, but then they came to major championships and then they were unable to maintain that form for a long season because of where they are geographically compared to where the championships are here.
All right, I think we have covered that. I think Warren had his hand up, but he took it down. Maybe what he was planning to ask.
Thanks,
Go ahead, Warren.
thanks, Chair.
Yeah.
Well, I think Marcel sort of covered my question because I wanted to compare our two male top athletes now, the preparation. But I understand now that Oblique was injured, because I can see Hakeem competing in several international meets, and I didn't see Seville in any of them, you know. So I was wondering what was the problem. But as explained earlier on, you know, he's nursing an injury and coming back. You know?
Yeah, if I can give you something encouraging coming out of that, is that on the weekend you would have seen Daniel Hughes run 983 at the New York Grand Prix. My information is that prior to getting hurt, Oblique was ahead of Daniel Hughes in training as he prepared for the season. So hopefully, with his injury, hopefully though behind him, and he is opening again at the national championships, we will get a glimpse of what will be possible in August once Oblique maintains his health, once he gets back on track.
Yeah,
and I noticed that this guy Goals, who ran on the
some
10.
real inside information here,
Sorry.
right?
Sorry.
Yeah, what you in the assistant top 10?
You were breaking up a while ago, Ricardo. But get in the question, Warren, and then we can.
Yeah, I didn't know Ricardo was still on. You know.
Yeah.
But
no, I was saying if I can give you some inside information, right? Some real inside information here. So I am told that the plan was for Oblique Civil to compete a couple of days before, and he was so impressive in the time trial that the coach said no.
No what?
He pulled him out.
Your audio fell out, Ricardo. You want to repeat that?
No, I was saying that he was so impressive in the time trial a couple of days before Saturday that the coach said no need to run again on Saturday. We'll just go to trials now.
Yeah.
That's good news. But
You're in the same thing.
I was mentioning DP that there was Goulson. He has run in a couple meets and he ran under 10 seconds.
Wind assisted.
Wind assisted, but I don't hear you mention him at all. He has no chance of making the team. That's what you're saying?
No, definitely not. Remember, I didn't give a top 6 for the men. You know, if you want me to give a top 6 for the men, I can try to do that.
I would love to hear that.
Okay, all right. Before you give it top 6 for the men, let me give. We can come back to that. Let me give Earl, whose hand was up before and is back up. Earl, go ahead. Earl, you hear me? All right.
Yes,
Ricardo,
I'm
go
there.
on.
Sorry,
Yes.
I've muted myself.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
go ahead with your question.
When I put up my hand was because I saw Marcel. So I wondered if plan B was in progress.
Yes. Plan B,
All right,
because he did say he came late. So plan B is in operation.
Okay, well, I won't say anything yet then. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead now, Ricardo, with your top 6 for the men.
All right, so here we go. Johan Blake the father, Akeem Blake the son, Oblique Civil, Julian Fort.
Adrian Carr.
Say what? No, Michael Campbell.
Yes.
And Jelani Walker.
Okay. That's 6, right?
That's 6.
Yes.
And I'm sure again there are gonna be so many questions about who would have been left out, because again it's so unpredictable and there is just so much depth.
Yes. I'm glad
No,
to see Michael
no
Campbell.
Adrian Carr, Ricardo.
No Adrian Carr. There was
No
no
DeAndre Daly.
There was no Nkrumah in my top 6. There was no DeAndre Daly in my top 6. Yeah.
Okay.
But I tell you what though, I think there are at least 16 men who genuinely feel they have a shot of making the top 6. At least 16.
Okay. All right, we're about to wind down now. And there are no hands
just
up.
getting fun.
But let me just ask you guys this question. I thought there was a male high jumper skirting somewhere around.
Yes.
Remind me who that is and what, because I know I heard of one. And
There's Lucian and of course Christoph Brand, but both are well sure.
The NCAA champion indoors.
And outdoors.
And outdoors. Why is his name slipping me right now?
Romain Beckford.
Romain Beckford.
Right.
NCAA champion indoors and out, and there's Lashane Wilson. They haven't qualified automatically yet, so the qualifying standard is 2.32 meters. Lashane is at 225. Romain is at 227. But at this stage, they are in the quota to actually make it to the World Championships. So they are in a qualifying position by world ranking, even though they are not automatic with the 232 clearance.
Good. And with the women, we have Distin, and then there's
Lamar Distin.
And then
Kimberly
there's
Williamson, but she hasn't hit the 193 standard so far this season. Her best is 185, I think it is.
But she too is in a qualifying position based on world ranking.
Right. And an event that we didn't touch on was the 400-meter hurdles for women. In terms of, and that's one that Cherokee is that's
No, correct.
no,
Cherokee is a
she's doing the
54.
flats. She's a flats, the
Yeah.
flat 4.
Russia Clayton is the fastest this year, 53.8. And of course, Sharon Salmon and Johnny Russell are among those who are contending.
Rhonda White.
Rhonda White as well.
We have a couple
and-
knocking on the door, but nobody really looks like a medal contender. Am I
Well,
correct?
look, the world record is now 50.6. It used to be 52.37, I think. It has moved significantly in the last 4 or 5 years, and our ladies haven't caught up just yet.
Yeah.
Well, but one medal has come back to the field because McLaughlin is not running the 400 this year, more than likely. So there's a medal floating around the place.
Hey, Yubi, what's up?
Hubert,
We missed you, Yubi.
No, man, didn't at all. I was listening for about half an hour. Sounds good.
Good to hear you, Hubert. And I also, if you have another comment, go right ahead, Hubert. Glad that you were able to join us.
No, Hubert is right though. There is quite possibly a medal floating around that 400-meter hurdles, and I think if you look at even the recent global championships, there always seems to be an opening, especially for that bronze medal, and I think it could be the case this year again. Antoinette Knight was a little bit unfortunate not to make the team last year, having fallen at, I think, the penultimate hurdle it was at the national championships when it was clear.
Number 7, I think it was.
Yeah, hurdle 7. Yeah, when it was clear she was on her way to making the team. She's back in great form. Rochelle Clayton is in great form. Oh, hurdle 8, Hubert. Yes, is back in great form. And who knows, just maybe if they can get into the 53 lows, 52 highs, there is the potential for a medal at the World Championships.
We just get a chance to ask Eric, my friend Eric, if there's anything he would like to say, as before we wrap up. Eric, I know you've been listening. Any thoughts you just want to throw in?
Well, I think they have covered everything basically. But I'm just really concerned about Elaine, and any updates on her?
Well, she ran on Saturday, 11:24. She didn't look particularly great. She revealed afterwards that she's been going through a whole raft of injuries that almost caused her to quit, which has me worrying about her mental state, which is just as important, if not more, than her physical readiness. And the fact that she's had so many interruptions in her program during the course of the season suggests to me that she's nowhere close to the athlete that a lot of people have come to expect of her. And I suspect that she might not be on the Jamaican team to the World Championship in Budapest this summer. Actually, personally, I can tell you that I'd be surprised if she makes the team, actually. But, she's Elaine, so let's see what happens.
And Elaine did say that she was nervous after that performance about whether she would be able to make the top 3 at the national championships. And if she's saying that she's nervous, then that tells you everything you need to know about where she is both mentally and physically.
Let me throw in this though. In 21, she had run an 11:20 something. I'm not sure if it was a season opener, but before she went on to do fantastic things. One big difference, however, is that then she was with the MVP camp. We don't really know. I think a lot of us, because of our lack of confidence in her coach, I'm assuming that is one of the things that we worry about. We don't know really if she was an MVP and they said that look, she'll be all right. we would easily accept that. But right now we don't know what to accept. But
Well, but if you open your 100-meter season 2 weeks before the national championship around 11:24.
Somebody has a mic open. Hold on. Somebody has a mic open. Please. Okay, I think I got that. Go ahead, Leighton.
No, I'm saying if you open your 100-meter season at 11:24, 2 weeks before the national championships, this is unlikely that she's going to run much faster in 2 weeks. And you have to remember that this is a deep field that she's going to be competing against. Her confidence is at its possibly lowest ebb. And she's been coached by somebody who's never coached an elite athlete his entire life. So when you put everything together, there's not a positive outlook on this. I mean, if she goes to the national championship and does something spectacular, of course, I think everybody, including me, would be pleasantly surprised. But I'm a realist, and based on what the data tells me right now, it doesn't look good for her going into the national championships in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Leighton is right. But here's the thing, because of Elaine's natural ability and because of where she's gotten to. So Elaine is a 10:54 runner. She opens at 11:24. She comes to the nationals. I don't think it's impossible for her to come to the nationals and run 10:9 or 11:0. And if she runs 10:9 or 11:0, does she have a solid chance of making the team, of being in the top 3? I think if she can get down to 10:9, she has a shot. And I think that is what she is probably hoping right now. But if it were anybody else running 11:24 2 weeks before, I would say a definite no. But because it is Elaine and because at her best, she is 10:54, so even half a second slower than that, she is still in good range. I say she still has a shot.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that 10:54 is no longer on her legs, Ricardo. That training is gone.
Okay. But 11:0 and 10:9 could be is the point I'm making.
I know what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing.
Gentlemen, I think it's a good point to kind of end on. I mean, Elaine is my favorite. I must tell you that. She's my favorite. There's no other athlete that I love more. Let me put it another way. There's no other athlete that I enjoy watching as much as Elaine in full flight, especially the last 30 meters when she's really moving. Anyway, gentlemen, I could not have asked for a better night in terms of you really have done exactly what I wanted. But let's forget about anything we didn't touch on. We can't touch on everything. And, it was my pleasure to kind of host this, but I'm going to ask DP Earl, who, well, you guys know is my brother. Anyway.
Better say nothing more.
To do the vote of thanks to you. And let me just also throw in thanks, Hubert, for coming. We're glad you could make it. And thanks, Eric, for coming. Okay, Eric, over to you.
If I could just say one quick thing before we close off.
Sure,
Look,
sure.
I have always been a big fan of the Kiwanis Club. My father was a president in North Trelawney, or South Trelawney back in, he was Trelawney of the year 1973-74. He passed in 2017. And so the Kiwanis has always been a big part of my life growing up and still to this day, because, I mean, just last year I did something similar for the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, I think it was. And I always enjoy sharing with members of the Kiwanis family. So it was my pleasure being here tonight.
Thank you, Leighton. Thank you. Okay, Aaron.
Well, boy, talk about talent, talk about the quality of persons we have in Jamaica. Perhaps it's because the quality of the athletes that we hear the guests or speakers or presenters doing as well as they did. You've lived up to our expectations. When you speak, we listen. We become sponges. At one time, you would think that a sponge was not a nice thing to be, but when it's really taking up information that you both have disseminated to us, we are happy to be sponges. We will quote you. And I know that because you can defend what you say, it makes it so much a thrill to have listened to this presentation. I can say that I was told I was plan B. And then when I saw plan A coming, I said, wow, you mean I have to ask some other questions? But I didn't ask questions because at my age, I'm finding I'm not remembering as well as I ought to, or as I think I should. But boy, I'm really excited. I was disappointed, Ricardo, when I didn't hear Elaine's name at first. But when you squeeze it in there, maybe you have been having some losses, some little losses, so it must have got in there. But I'm relieved, and even how you defend that it is likely with her potential, because I don't like her as much as Stu does, but because Shelley was always my baby from day one, and I've not left her. And but Elaine is really a beauty to watch the last part of the race. Ricardo, I never got a chance to tell you that from the early days when you used to come on KLS and some of the things you used to see in football and track and field, when I eventually met you at the stadium, I couldn't believe you have now, I can't use the word blossomed, but you are a full-fledged professional. And I'm glad to hear that you had other strong points, and you brought out Leighton's old too. So tonight was really a wonderful night.
Yes.
And no, we could not have had Hubert as one of the panelists.
Boy, that would be too much.
We had him one night, and boy, I'm telling you, he was excellent. And you two have more than made up for what, like the game's coming up now. It's our treat, a real treat to have had you. And in recognition of your presentation tonight, you both are going to get, a certificate of appreciation from our club. We're showing you the digital presentation there, but you're going to get the real thing. And we're really happy to have you. By the way, Leighton, do you walk up the stairs much in the stadium now? I remember after I recommended something, you said it had improved very well. I hope.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah, my knees are fine now, and I'm in the gym now, and I'm getting my knees a lot stronger. So I no longer have any pain whatsoever. It's just mobility now that I'm working on.
That thing really worked because I don't need it either.
Yep.
Great. So it's really good to have had you, and I've seen you. I wasn't going to come to the thing, because your presentations on TV are so good, but I'm going to have to be there. So thanks for the presentation. Kiwanis Club of Kingston is very appreciated.
Truly appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're on, Stu?
You're muted, Stu. We're not hearing you.
DP Stu, you're muted.
Yeah, I was saying I was having a little difficulty displaying two. It's not all the time that we have to show two. And I realized Ricardo's own was up first, and I was having a little difficulty showing Leighton's own. So,
it is understood.
So it's
that's fine.
Now up. Anyway, thank you, Earl, and President Junior is back to you.
Why, thank you, gentlemen. And Hubert, Lawrence, I must tell you, this was more than enough tonight. I've been listening to you, gentlemen, and the sportscast, and believe me, you have always outdone yourself, if you like. I was really very nervous when I heard the list of 6 women sprinters without Elaine. But I was kind of afraid of saying anything for fear that there was something that I don't really know. but I understand when you guys explain it. But nowhere else in the world you could have something like this. Thank you again, gentlemen. It was high class, real high class. I'm good. All right, so we have to move on. We'd like to hear some more, but I'm afraid time would not allow us in the time we have. So we might have to do it again soon. So then, we'll come to our Sergeant at Arms. Sergeant, are you on?
President Junior,
Yes.
Andy here. I got cut off earlier on trying to express apologies for absence for the Sarge.
Oh, yes.
He has asked me to sit in his stead. I promise that I'm not as fierce as the Sarge. Just want to share a quick story. It's a lesson for many. A mouse looking through a hole in the wall sees the farmer and his wife open a package. He was terrified to see that it was a mouse trap. He ran to the patio to warn everyone. There is a mouse trap at home. The chicken that was cackling and digging says, "Excuse me, Mr. Mouse, I understand that this is a big problem for you, but it does not hurt me at all." So the rodent went to the lamb and he says the same thing. "Excuse me, Mr. Mouse, but I don't think I can do more than ask for you in my prayers." The mouse went to the cow and she said, "But am I in danger?" "I think not," said the cow. The mouse returned to the house worried and dejected to face the farmer's mousetrap. That night, a great noise was heard like that of the mousetrap catching its victim. The woman ran to see what she had caught. In the dark, she did not see the mousetrap caught the tail of a poisonous snake. The speedy snake bit the woman. The farmer immediately took her to the hospital. She came back with a high fever. The farmer, to comfort her, prepared a nutritious soup, grabbed the knife and went to find the main ingredient, the chicken. Since the woman did not get better, friends and neighbors went to visit them. The farmer killed the lamb to feed them. The woman and the husband sold out to the slaughterhouse to cover the funeral expenses. So the next time someone tells you about their problem and you think that it doesn't affect you because it's not yours and you don't pay attention to it, think twice. He who doesn't live to serve doesn't serve to live. The world is not going badly because of the wickedness of the bad, but because of the apathy of the good. So may you never lack empathy. Remember it well, empathy. Now the Sergeant was very concerned that you guys would miss him tonight. And to console you in this time of his absence, he has nicely requested that you all be comforted by a blanket fine of $200. So a fine of $200 for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good show, Sarge.
Good show. Good show. You seem like the next Sarge.
Dr. Andy, we get it on. Well done.
I'm just doing as I have been instructed, following instruction. That's
nothing else. All right. Thank you, Sarge. Thank you. Okay. So we're coming to the close of our meeting. Daisy, Willie, are there any notices and announcements at this time? I know there are. So could you just tell us an interclubbing opportunities?
Thank you, President. In the interest of time, but before I go into any announcements, I would suggest to Chairman D.P. Stewart that he invite both chairmen, both presenters this evening, both Leighton and Ricardo, to our annual Barbie Fry on Friday. I'm sure they will enjoy the after-work line where we could continue with this discussion.
Yes.
So, D.P. Stewart.
Good, very good, very good.
Yes, good idea.
And Hubert too.
Yeah.
And Hubert, sorry. Yes. That's free. I will note it. I will note it.
Yes.
Right.
Fellow Kiwanis, as you all know, Friday is our annual Barbie Friday. We have to date distributed, we had printed 1,200 tickets. We have distributed 1,185. I must commend most Kiwanis on giving me their list of meal orders. There are 2 or 3 outstanding. The reason being is if I don't get the meal orders, then we might make a mistake in our calculations, and in terms that we underestimate on a particular meal. But I think we will be okay. I'm still working on it this evening. Just to remind fellow Kiwanis, at Barbie Pride, that's 11 Fairway Avenue, corner Windsor, Fairway Avenue and Windsor Avenue, that's off Leighton Musgrave Road. And the meals start to serve at 10:30. Unfortunately, the crispy pork, although we want to pack lunches by 10 o'clock for take out the bulk orders, particularly in view of requests by DP Lloyd Barnett, they won't be ready. They won't be delivered till 10:30. Reason being they need at least 5.5 hours. So we have paid the caterers additional amount to pay the girls to come in early in the morning so we can try and get it to us by just after 10 o'clock. But all plans are in place. Tomorrow we have a site visit at 5 o'clock, then Fairway Avenue. So as many of you can turn up at a site or site visit, we need to examine the grounds and position the tables and the tents, as well as find a convenient location for the bar. So fellow Kiwanis, that's the only announcement I have this evening. That's the Barbie Pride on Friday. Right. So all hands on deck between now and then. Yeah. And those people who have sold tickets, please, 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 large your money. I'm going to send out a text message shortly indicating the account number, the service account number, to remind you to do some online payments, because payments have to be made to the caterers. Some have been made courtesy of 1 or 2 Kiwanis that have fronted up upfront money, but so we need to start reimbursing the account. Thank you very much, President Junior.
All right, thank you, DSG Willie.
And some other Kiwanis in the group.
Right. And thank you, gentlemen, our presenters and Hubert as well. And courtesy of the president, I will invite you to this Barbie Friday and offer you at least a ticket each, so you could be with us if you want to. This meeting.
President, may I say one word?
May I say what?
I think we forgot when our moderator said I was to thank both gentlemen. I forgot that I should have included him. He handled the program so well. He's getting expert, I wonder if one of the radio stations wants him. But anyway, yes. I'm just, he handled it beautifully.
Excellent, excellent.
Covered everything. And that helped us to get a really broad spectrum of the upcoming games and the state of our athletes. Sorry I left you out, Stu, but I had planned to do that.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I've now done it.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you, DPR.
Welcome.
Good. So, Hubert and the crew, we're hoping to see at our Barbie Friday come Friday, sometime Friday. You could just pass through. We'll have lunch ticket for you. And thank you very much again. Another high-class discussion. Okay. DP, Stu, you again for the start of the week, for the week.
Okay, President Junior. Okay, my first one is, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared.
So true. So true.
And the other one is quite short. The difference between a goal and a vision is a deadline. So those are my two thoughts.
And thank you, as usual. Very interesting.
Good,
So we are just about at the end, and if there's nothing else to discuss in this meeting, I just like us to raise a toast. That sounds like.
Yes, sir. There's an item AOB.
Oh, okay. I ignored it totally.
What?
All right. Are there any other business?
My question, President, is can you update us on plans to return face-to-face meeting?
Well, sure. Well, so far we have decided that we'll start with our board meeting, and we'll see how that goes. And depending on how it goes, we'll try and start that maybe some monthly meeting on a monthly basis and try and get it back as soon as possible, if we see the need for it. I don't. But we certainly decided that we're going to do our board meetings. And of course, we'll have the games meeting, which can't be anything else but face-to-face. So there is where we are at this time.
President Junior.
Yes.
So you realize that it's quite okay going back face-to-face, but it has to be dual. Else you will never have this audience.
Yes.
They can't hold. So
right.
you have to find a way to merge for both.
Right. And you are right. That is what I was thinking about when we talk about going back. Not just to complete the face-to-face, but a hybrid. I don't see us going back face-to-face only as well. I don't know, but we're checking that. But in the meantime, we are trying to do the board meeting as much as possible face-to-face.
So what will we learn from the board meeting that will inform whether we go face-to-face?
Let me just say something. This has been discussed at the board meeting. Right. In my reports, I've kind of set it out. But just to make a short answer,
right.
The board meeting we don't need to facilitate people doing presentations from okay,
right.
Tonight, for example, nobody needed to use a screen share. What the board meeting, what we have now, we can do a board meeting because we can cover the persons in the room and we can connect and create a link, and those who are not in the room can have it. When we get to having guest speakers, it becomes a little bit more complex but not impossible, of course.
Yes.
There's also another thing I should show you. If you all want something first class, you might have to pay for it. If you want something of a level of somewhat of a middle amateur, what we'll have to do is we're gonna need other equipment. I don't want to be in a situation where I have to go around and begging a projector. We're gonna need if a guest speaker is gonna use a project, you have to be able to project in the room for the people who are there, and you also have to be able to project on screen, right? We also need a laptop. Well, that situation has kind of been corrected because I got a laptop not recently. So I do have a laptop that I can incorporate into the process, but it all depends on the speakers and whether they're gonna need us to screen share. A presentation like, for example, Dr. Barnett, for example, he could have done it on screen at his home, just like how he did it, and he wouldn't need to share a screen, but we would have to facilitate. We could see him but we'd have to be able to display on that. So if one wanted to be was in a hurry, we could do it the next time, but we'd have to pay for it. We'd have to pay for it in terms of somebody who could set it up all together. This idea of having what we want and it being free is not necessarily gonna work.
Okay.
All right.
So like a parliamentary speech.
Well, I'm not an aspiring politician, so that's not relevant to me.
All right.
Yeah, well, President, I don't want to belabor it. Maybe we'll discuss it another time. But
yeah,
if we remember our focus, then returning to face-to-face has got to be paramount in our thoughts. And regardless of what it costs, you know, I am suggesting that we put some effort into that. I say no more.
Yes, thank you. And I understand what you're saying, but we have been looking into it, but it seemed at this time that it won't be practical to come up with full-time face-to-face. But we are testing it to see how well it works and so. And DPCU said it's going to take much more than we have been putting.
Well, let me say, we could do it the next week if we're prepared to pay for it.
Right. All right, so there's where we are. Okay. But any other question? Any other business we could quickly discuss? Any other business? Anybody like to bring forward? Any other business? Okay, if not, we'll raise our glasses, and here I have my glass tonight, and drink a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica land we love. Thank you, gentlemen. It has been a good night. I certainly enjoyed it, and from our discussion, it is obvious that we did. Thank you all for coming.